Location in the rose garden here on the junior college grounds, and we're going to start trimming on a miniature rose. Roses are a little tiny, but when we say miniature, they are really a rose bush that will grow up to about 18 inches to 2 foot wide, 2 foot tall on some varieties. So I say generally they're in the shape and realm of a basketball. I'll use that terminology. And so on those, we still trim them a little bit judiciously because you want to create a lot of new growth on them, and the new growth is where the flowers are at. So on this one right here, I'm going to take my glasses off where I can see some of the trimming here for the shade. But now on this one, we have some stem roots. We have a different type of disease that's coming back from the tips coming back into the plant. And so we're going to go back in here and cut this out. And we're just going to do some thin cuts. You could shear these with the hedge trimmers. But these are actively growing with all these new greens, so I'm coming in here, cutting right ahead of a bud, and where things are breaking out. And I'm taking out dead wood again. Down in here, there's dead stems from last year's trimming, because these minis are real. They're kind of delicate, because they will actually lose a whole stem for some reason. It just dies in our climate, but they'll always throw another new one out somewhere or another. So I'm trimming out the dead stuff, the weedy looking stuff on the rose. And again, we're not doing these like a hybrid tea, but we're simply, opening it up, and when I'm cutting them back to produce the side shoots to grow out, tipping it out, basically is what I'm calling tipping it. And when I tip the ends, it doesn't mean it's going to keep growing this way, but all this flush, new growth is going to just burst out and form a new plant right here coming up. So I'm tipping some of this stuff in here. And so this will actually make this plant turn back into a little basketball with lots of flowers on it here pretty quick. And that's it on that. So we look for some more dead wood or some disease stuff. This is some more dead stuff from last year. We're cutting out in the center. These are not grafted. Mini roses are not grafted. They are hybrids that have been grown up, and they're on their own rootstock. So that's a different thing about the rose right now on this one. There are some grafted varieties, but these right here on this particular variety are just on their own roots. This is a long branch I want to get rid of. I don't want them growing into this plant over here. So I'm going to come back where this little pocket of growth is right here and cut this back in here. And I'm going to shorten that one there a little bit. So it brings it back into a tight-knit growth pattern. And it's in that realm of the basketball, if you can visualize it. It's out here about ball size, and now all this stuff's going to grow up. And then over time it'll grow out, and that's the pattern it will go into. That's miniature roses. This is one we did yesterday afternoon, day before, and you can see it's open area. It's a little bit different from this one because it just a different structure pattern on it. But again, it will fill out with all the new buds and everything. And the reason this one is not as lush as this one is because it's been shaded by the monument. So it's in a little microclimate right here that's a little bit colder than these two. These are in more of the sunshine. And so that's just the reason. It's not that it's diseased or it's sick. The ground is colder here because it's been shaded and it's got cool ground. So the roots on this one is a little bit slower about producing this lush growth than these two. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
So on that part of it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any way to root those pieces you just cut off?
The pieces could be rooted, and to root a rose bush, you want to take a first, second year growth, and that would be this right here. You want to strip it into about a 2-inch piece section. Get all that off there, and then you've got all this stem. There are hormone powders you buy. It's called Root 1, and it's a white powder. You would get a carton or a sleeve of that Root 1. You stick that down in there, and you coat this stem, tap it off, and then you put that into a potting soil mix. Not dirt, not New Mexico soil, because I can tell you it's going to die. You won't even have to worry about it. You might as well just stick it in the ground out here, because you want to put it in a rooting media that does not have any bugs, bacteria. It's a sterile potting soil. Put that in a container, and then put a mason jar, wide mouth jar over the top of that, And that becomes a little mini greenhouse. You wet the soil, and then you put that in the center of that deal, and then it roots out. That's a quick and simple way. And you can do that on any of these roses in here. You can do it on this one, but again, when this puts roots out, it's not on the wild rootstock. It's on its own, so this hybrid tea may struggle in the New Mexico soils. Are you understanding the competition? Because you can do this with that, but again, it may be very scraggly roots and it can't survive the caliche in our soil, the alkalinity. Where the multiflora rose, it doesn't bother it, that part of it.